I remember this boy once like rubbing my skin to like see if it would come off.
Classic.
Which was quite mad actually. And then I remember in 2020 when we had all of the BLM protests in London, he sent me a Facebook message apologising.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, which was quite interesting, like quite an interesting conversation. But my school, I grew up in a town called Syston in Leicester. Love it, God, absolute. My you know, that's my home. That's the place that grew me. I definitely wouldn't be this girl without that place. It's a very working class town, and I think the school that I went to, which I loved, had the best time. I was growing up with kids, I think, who maybe weren't that aware of world issues or social issues and like, you know, speaking in a politically correct way or even just very political. You know, I think as I got older, I realised actually, yeah, I'd say 90% of my mates from home wouldn't vote in a general election or wouldn't care to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I grew up. So, and I really want to make a point of saying that really respectfully, because there is also something about those towns that is quite magical.
Yeah.
And like growing up with, you know, boys who like leave school at 16 and go into these manual labor jobs and like really care about leaving and working and building a life for themselves. There's so much about that I really respect now that I'm kind of in a creative industry. But I think with that and with the kind of miseducation of young people in those sorts of places comes all the bad stuff. So that was all quite confusing as a kid. My body wasn't really attacked. It was more my skin. But then I suppose as a kid, anything physical, it all just kind of goes all together,
Of course.
you know? And then in the same breath now, the same boys that were calling me ugly and rubbing my skin were then into me because I started to grow boobs. And that's uber confusing. Because now you're not just looking at me like you're not looking at me anymore as the brown girl in class. You're now looking at me as the brown girl, but maybe she's kind of attractive because she has these boobs that no one else. That's so confusing.